Ladies and gentlemen, we are on service time. If I can remind everyone, please turn off your cell phones for the service.
Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo achsar, binodesha yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'magle tzedek lema'an shemo gam ki elech b'geitz mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yanachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai dishanta bashemen roshi kosi rivaya. Achtov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai. V'shavti b'veit Adonai li'orech yamim. That was Psalm 23 in the original Hebrew. If you can join me in the English, well known to many of us, I ask you to do so. It may be in the handout that you have. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Our God and God of our ancestors, our rock and our redeemer, 1,000 years in your sight are as a passing day, an hour of night. Our generations come and go while you endure forever. We are always in your hand, O Lord, in death as in life, trusting in your love and in your decisions. O Lord in heaven, strengthen those who mourn the loss of Anschel Tarlie. Help them to look beyond this moment. Help them realize that death cannot destroy the bonds of everlasting love. Sustain his family with the knowledge of our faith, that you will not abandon our souls to the grave, that you do not allow your faithful to suffer oblivion. You, O Lord, have taught us the way of life. Through you, we gain eternity, and let us all say, Amen. All of us who knew, admired, respected, and loved Anschel are grief-stricken at this moment. It has been some time since we got to see him here at our synagogue, a synagogue that he loved, and a synagogue that he valued. But his presence was always felt. And when news came of his passing, while it may not have been the most overwhelming surprise, it was still a moment of great sadness. We have gathered here this afternoon to pay tribute to him and to bid a fond farewell to a person who really was one of the finest people you could ever know. Our Torah reading this past week, the Torah portion of Naso, mentioned a group of special tribal leaders known as the Nisi'im, the princes. Their individual stories are fleshed out elsewhere and are legendary. They were appointed to their tasks because of their love and devotion to their families, to their people, and to their God. They were accomplished, according to Midrash, in every facet of their lives. It's no exaggeration to say that, like the princes of old, Dr. Anschel Tarlie was exemplary in every facet of his life. Anschel was truly a prince among men. He was certainly known to everyone as an outstanding physician, first in the arena of family medicine in South Africa, and then after immigrating to the USA in 1977, certifying as an anesthesiologist in Miami and then coming here to Denver, where he ultimately became the head of the anesthesiology department at Rose Hospital from late 1979 till about 2007. His reputation as a medical professional, in many ways larger than life. You would never know that from him because he was self-effacing and modest. You may hear from one of his children's stories about them going around when they were younger and wondering, why do all these people want to come over to our father and talk to him? And we have somewhere to be, and he's engaging in conversation with other colleagues or other patients. I don't know many anesthesiologists who call their patients after the surgery. Well, he was one of those who did that. But Anschel did not only make a mark as a medical professional. First and foremost, he was a good son to his parents of blessed memory, a wonderful brother to his twin and at one time medical partner, Dr. Michael, and his sister Annette, both of blessed memory. He was a loving and totally devoted husband to his life partner and wife, Bernice, whose sudden passing just under 6 years ago left a real void in his heart. He was also an engaged, supportive, and ever-present father to his children, Ian and Fran, Lisa and Kent, Martin and Cecile, doting grandfather, Stephen and Haley, to Michael and Kylie, to Jordan Tarlie, Cooper Tarlie, and William Tarlie. He was first and foremost a family man. Nothing was more important than family. He took a great interest in everything they did, and his calendar was filled with dates and events birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, work accomplishments. He wanted to know it all, and he wanted to engage as much as he could. There's so many things that could be said about this prince among men. One of his children mentioned that he was a mensch of mensches. And that is true. That is how I knew him. I knew him as very soft-spoken, very knowledgeable, and very broad-minded in his knowledge. Always interested to talk with the rabbi of the synagogue. As I said, he was an engaged and ever-present dad, and I think he was well loved in that arena because he rarely raised his voice. He rarely got mad. He was not judgmental, and he was an amazing listener. And all of these things were carried over beyond the family boundaries as well. He simply loved people. And he was engaged with people on the phone, online, in other arenas, up until the day that he passed away. He just had this ability to attract people to him. It wasn't hard to see that there was a special aura about him. His royalty came through in just the way he carried himself, always with grace and dignity, always dressed, always ready to lend a hand to someone else, whether it was physically or just a word of support and advice. You should not mistake any of this for thinking that he was such a nice guy that he didn't have his own dreams and his own grit and determination. All you had to do was engage with him once or twice, and you knew he had a laser-like focus on accomplishing the goals that he had set for himself, or the goals that maybe others had set for him because of life circumstances, most notably the migration from South Africa to this country. You are going to hear from members of his family, and some of them will flesh out certain aspects of this. But all I can say is that his family is willing to admit that he was a wonderful role model for them. I would echo that. He was a role model in my interactions with him as well. Didn't lord it over anyone. He just was a pillar of quiet strength that carried the day for him, for his family, and for all those who knew him either as a patient or as a friend or as simply an acquaintance. It's a wonderful way to be remembered. And this legacy is really larger than anything that he would ever say. And he probably would be embarrassed right now to hear these accolades. But that is the task at hand. And I want to call upon, we have three groups of people who are going to come up. And first I'll call upon his children, Ian, Lisa, and Martin. And then we'll see who's next.
Hello, I'm Ian, Anschel's oldest son. I'm here with my favorite sister, Lisa, and my favorite brother, Martin. As we stand here, our dad is returning for the last time to the place that he called home for more than 40 years, a place where he finished raising his children, launched his career as an anesthesiologist, and made so many cherished friends, many of whom are here today. You all know our dad. We call him Papa or Anschel, as a kind, generous, selfless, and wise man. These qualities manifested in many ways. The most obvious is his role as physician. He began his career as a family doctor in Port Elizabeth, but when he immigrated, he requalified as an anesthesiologist. And it is in that role that many of you know him best. His calling card was the way he treated people with extraordinary care and attention. And the reason he was so respected and admired is because his care and attention was authentic. As Mark Twain said, the key to success is authenticity. If you can fake that, you've got it made. But Anschel's success was definitely not fake. He was the definition of authentic. A testament to this is that the Anschel that you all experienced as his friends is the same Anschel that we experienced as his family. Anschel was not a man of words. This came out in many ways, some serious and not so serious. On the serious side, one of his favorite aphorisms was acta non verba, actions, not words. He didn't have much patience for idle pontification. He was a man of action. 2 years ago at his residence in Scottsdale, a woman at dinner had a medical emergency. Anschel, witnessing this, sprang into action, administered CPR until the EMTs arrived, and was credited with saving her life. Truly a man of action. The irony here, and an overarching theme, is that we did not hear the story from him. He never told us. He only heard about it from his friends and the staff at his residence, humbled to the call. While not as dramatic as performing CPR to save someone's life at a dinner party, there was 1-800 call Ansch. Anschel was always available to help family, friends, friends of friends, strangers, kids, friends, you name it. If someone was facing a medical challenge, big or small, he was there to help them out. He listened, he gave advice, he told them what he thought, he reassured them, he made calls to specialists for them, he cared deeply. And so we called his moonlighting 1-800 call Ansch. On the non-serious side, when he would get mad at us as children, he would yell. To be clear, he wasn't really much of a yeller. In a somewhat inarticulate manner, and then storm off. But because he wasn't able to articulate everything he wanted to, he would come back and yell a little more. The timing of this, we would count to 3, was quite remarkable. He was like a Swiss watch. Eventually, it became a standing joke in the family. Wait until a count of 3 for your next dose.
The fact that his loss for words, when upset, became a standing joke is a testament to other aspects of his character. He didn't take himself too seriously, and he had a great sense of humor. To be clear, he took what he did very seriously. After all, as an anesthesiologist, he dealt with life and death on a daily basis, taking people to the brink and bringing them back. That's pretty serious stuff. But one of our favorite stories as kids was the time when, as a family doctor, he had a patient with diarrhea. After making a house call and providing medication that would take time to take effect, the phone calls nevertheless continued deep into the night. After half a dozen such calls, Anschel, exasperated, exclaimed, What do you want me to do? Stick a cork in it? On this occasion, he found the exact right words. This story also illustrates that Anschel didn't tolerate BS, or what he called nonsense, very well. So while his kindness is legendary, it had bounds. The Talmud teaches us that those who are kind to the cruel are cruel to the kind. But to know when to be kind and when not to be, when to take a stand and when to say enough, that takes strength. But because Anschel was a very humble man, he didn't advertise his strength. But make no mistake, he was strong. First, he was physically strong. Over the past few years, he handled numerous physical challenges in a manner that is truly inspiring. Beyond that, his physical stamina, combined with an inexhaustible work ethic, was one of his keys to success. And his stamina and work ethic serves as an inspiration that is a model for all of us. Behind his physical strength lay a quiet strength of character that became more and more evident the better you got to know him. He was as honest as the day is long. He was extremely conscientious. If he told you he was going to do something, he did it. And he had the strength of character to never compromise these basic principles of honesty and integrity.
Beyond these basic principles, family was at the center of his life, and not just his immediate family. When his twin brother Mike, who he lovingly referred to as his other half, sadly passed away at the young age of 63, Anschel stepped in as a surrogate to his niece, nephews, and sister-in-law to help fill the void. He wasn't just our dad. He was the patriarch of our entire family. He cared deeply about each and every one of us. He considered our spouses, Kent, Fran, and Cece, as his own, and he loved them unconditionally. He adored his grandkids and was so proud of their achievements, celebrating their successes in school, work, on the ball field, and in life. And to all our beloved cousins, he may have been Uncle Ansch in name, but he was their second dad. One of his prized possessions was his birthday calendar, which he used as a reminder to connect with friends and family the world over. While American Express has coined the term "don't leave home without it," Anschel applied this to his birthday calendar. We are sure many of us here and many, many more around the world are going to miss those birthday calls. His love and support across the entire family network has nurtured a very tight-knit family. And while he was instrumental in nurturing and watering our beautiful family garden, in the end, he didn't do it alone. And that's what brings us back to Bibi, his true love, who he lovingly referred to as my little Bibala. For those of you who don't know the backstory, they met at a wedding at Wedgwood Golf Club in PE when he was 19 and she was 15. Legend has it that right after they met, he told his beloved sister Annette that he had just met the girl he was going to marry. And marry her he did. And together they went on to lives well lived. A man of action, indeed. When we think of our parents, we obviously think of all the worldly things they did. But since Bibi's passing in 2019 and watching Anschel since then, what became more and more clear was the depth of their love. The only way to describe it is with two words: true love. And it's hard to imagine anything more beautiful than that. And as with much in Anschel, his quiet demeanor hid, even from us, the remarkable depth of this true love. Beyond that, his humility and quiet demeanor hid the full depth of a wonderfully strong and decent man. As we stand here today, united in grief, love, and gratitude, we hope that Bibi and Anschel are looking down at us and smiling. Nothing was more important to them than family, and we'd like to reassure them that we got this, Bibi and Anschel. We will carry the torch from here. We end with two thoughts. First, as I'm sure you all know, he would always end a phone conversation in his gentle and loving voice with, "Bye for now." And sadly, the time has come for us to say bye for now to him for the last time. Second is the inscription to be engraved on their tombstone. "We live together in happiness. We rest together in peace."
Please give your attention to Cecile Tarlie, Ken Seixia, and Franny Tarlie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fran Tarlie, Anschel's daughter-in-law and Ian's wife. Anschel was like a father to me, and he treated everyone in my family, as if they were his own family. That was how Anschel rolled. Or should I say Anschel, or should I say Ansch, or Anschel? He had many, many names and appreciated them all. The amount of love and support that has been pouring in the past few days is a tribute to the amazing man that he was. Smart, caring, compassionate, loyal, strong. The list goes on. The past few years, even though physically challenging for him, were a gift to us. Living close to him and seeing him often. He would come over to watch sports with us, and we'd cook him dinner, and he was always so appreciative. When we took him back to his apartment in Bellevue, he would marvel at all the tall buildings, and he could not fathom that he was living amongst them. One of the most special memories I will carry with me is of Anschel smiling wide and dancing at Ian's 60th birthday bash, surrounded by his family, including his beloved nephews. Anschel said, "This was the most fun I've had in years." I will really miss his smiling face, his willingness to lend a hand whenever he could, his medical advice, and his sincerity. The world became a better place with Anschel in it, and I couldn't have asked for a better father-in-law. He is irreplaceable.
Hi, I'm Cecile. I'm second daughter-in-law and Martin's wife. When actions speak louder than words, no one's action speaks louder than Papa's. One of my fondest memories, when I was in residency visiting Bibi and Papa, right before we would have dinner, Papa would sometimes go off to his office. And I often wondered, what was he doing? And I would hear him around the corner say the words, "Hello, this is Dr. Tarlie, and I'll be your anesthesiologist." And he would proceed to go over the day's procedures, listen to questions, and softly assure the patient everything will be okay. And end his conversations with the infamous "bye for now" and hang up. I was so moved by his kindness and genuine concern for his patients so much that he would take the time to speak with them, each and individually. It was so inspiring to see such a warm bedside manner. And so when I went into private practice and at the end of a tough patient procedure or a new patient who just got their braces on, I too wanted to be like Papa and would call the patients and ask how they were and answer any questions, even if it meant I was coming home a little bit late. Another example of his action of kindness would be as simple as making sure his precious Bibi never walked on the sidewalk by the roadside when they would walk together, that she was always inside and protected. Or sometimes when we would have dinners together, he would make sure that everybody would go first, that their plate was full before he would go. And he was just always wanting to be sure that we were well taken care of. And these were just a few simple examples of his genuine, loving, and kind soul that he was, always in action for others and never looking for validation. He just always wanted to give more than himself and always did. Papa's standards of selflessness was always beyond and unconditional, and we were truly blessed for it. I also wanted to mention that my parents were unfortunately unable to come due to their own health reasons, but I promised my dad I would briefly speak about their special bond that Papa and my father had. They would share their love of golf, both the good and the bad, talk about their patients as doctors and their similar journeys as immigrants, having the courage to leave their comfortable established life as doctors to come to the United States and start their career from scratch while supporting their young families. Once they met, they instantly became close, dear friends, emailing and calling each other so often. My dad will miss you, Anschel, so much. And my dad texted me, I will miss one of my best friends forever. In closing, thank you, Papa, for always giving and never taking us for granted and making us each feel special and heard. You are a blessing, and we're so thankful you were to be part of your life. I send our love to Phoebe, and always know we are missing you both.
I'm Kent Seyshaw. I'm Anschel's son-in-law, although many years ago we both took off the in-law part. Anschel was my father as well. He was a man of really unique and exceptional quality. He was extremely patient, calm, very introspective, very caring for others. In group settings, he wouldn't talk too much. And the rest of us, we all experienced it. We would be talking away and Anschel would be listening and listening. But when he did talk, he took that opportunity, we all stopped and listened to what he had to say. He had his own pace, and he stuck with that. He gave that to his children to this day. I think I estimated a few years ago, about 6.8% of my life has been waiting for a Tarlie in the house, and that legacy lives on. He didn't care. He took his time. He did what he needed to do, and he went where he wanted to go. He was the most amazing physician. I know many of you know that. He obviously knew a lot about the science, and he had diverse medical experiences, we've heard. But he was special. There was something very different about him. He had an ability to see and hear the person. And through that, he had an ability to connect that to their health. And I can't tell you how many times we've heard stories about all of our friends and family and children and neighbors. And we would call Dr. Anschel. And he would talk to you calmly. He would do little tests on you and ask you to stretch this way and move that way, and really, really listen. And he, every single time, got the diagnosis right. And many times he was the first physician to get the diagnosis right. So then he would tell you, here's what you could go when you see your physician, this is what you should suggest to your physician. It was really rather remarkable and I think very rare. Right before COVID, our dear Bernice passed. It was a really difficult time, as we all know. 2020, to live alone, first time, and to lose a loved one. Nobody expected Bernice to pass that early, and certainly before Anschel. I think Anschel was a bit lost for a while. But he created a routine as he always did. He had the same breakfast every morning. It was amazing. Egg white and turkey sausage. Never deviated one bit from it. I tried a few times. Maybe we could put something else in there. No way. We would call him, and he seemed like he did laundry every day, which was really funny. But it would take all day long. It was like this entire affair. At one point in time, his washing machine, I think, broke down, and it seemed like the world had come to an end to him. And then he would have Trader Joe for dinner, oftentimes. But I really want to thank everybody that's here, because his friends, the way that you cared for him, the way you took him under your wing and kept him safe was really amazing. As we prepared to fly him to our son's wedding, Stephen's wedding, we learned at that point in time that he had developed cancer. And it was a difficult trip to get there. And we flew back from the wedding and moved him to Seattle. And you can imagine how abrupt and difficult that was to have that kind of change in his life. And even worse, we lived in Seattle and we lived in Arizona, so he was really relocating to Seattle and Arizona. He handled this extraordinarily well. We heard